Commander Jake Harrison walked across the bridge of the UES Valiant. The ship was huge and powerful, but it felt quiet today. They had been flying through space for 3 months now, looking for new planets and checking on the borders of human territory. Jake was tired, but he always stayed alert. Space was dangerous and enemies could appear anywhere. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez sat at her station, watching the long-range sensors. She was good at her job and never missed anything important. Today, something strange appeared on her screens. The readings were unlike anything she had ever seen before. "Sir, I have something weird here," Amy called out. Her voice was calm, but Jake could hear the concern in it. "There are massive energy readings coming from the Kepler 442 system. I have never seen anything like this before." Jake walked over to Amy's station. The numbers on her screen were incredible. Whatever was out there was big and powerful. The computer was trying to match the readings to known ships, but nothing came up. The database was empty. Captain Lisa Murphy heard Amy's report and joined them at the sensor station. Lisa was the best tactical officer in the fleet. She had fought in many battles and knew every type of ship that flew through space. But these readings made no sense to her either. "How many ships are we looking at?" Lisa asked. Amy checked her instruments. Again, at least 300, maybe more. "They are moving together in perfect formation toward human space, but sir, these ships are not in our database. I cannot identify what they are." Chief Engineer Pete Johnson came up from the engine room. Pete was older than the others and had worked on ships for 20 years. He knew when something was wrong with the sensors. "Let me check the equipment," Pete said. He ran 3 different tests on the sensor array. Each test gave the same results. The readings were real. There really were hundreds of unknown ships heading toward human territory. Jake felt a chill run down his back. In all his years in space, he had never encountered ships that were completely unknown. The human database contained information about every known species in the galaxy. Pirates, traders, enemy fleets, friendly aliens, they were all recorded somewhere. But these ships were different. "The ships have no propulsion signatures," Amy reported. "They are moving fast, but our sensors cannot detect how they are powered. It is like they are moving without engines." Lisa studied the tactical display. The unknown fleet was moving in a formation that seemed impossible. The ships were spaced perfectly apart, moving at exactly the same speed, turning at exactly the same time. No human fleet could maintain such perfect coordination. "Get me Admiral Kate Sullivan on the priority channel," Jake ordered. "We need to report this to High Command right away." The communication took several minutes to reach Earth. Admiral Sullivan was at the military headquarters in Geneva. She had been fighting alien threats for 30 years and had seen every type of enemy ship. When she received Jake's report, she studied the data carefully. "This is impossible," Admiral Sullivan said over the communication link. "Ships cannot move without detectable propulsion. Our sensors should be able to identify any known technology." Jake sent all the sensor data to Earth. The Admiral's team of experts analyzed everything. They ran the readings through every database they had. Military records, scientific databases, intelligence files, everything came up empty. The ships were completely unknown. "Admiral, what are your orders?" Jake asked. Admiral Sullivan was quiet for a long moment. She was looking at the tactical display, trying to understand what she was seeing. The unknown fleet was still moving toward human space. At their current speed, they would reach the outer colonies in less than a week. "Prepare the defense fleet," Admiral Sullivan finally said. "I am calling up every available ship. Whatever these things are, they represent a clear threat to human territory." Colonel Ryan Bell was Admiral Sullivan's aide. He had been in the room during the communication with the Valiant. After Jake signed off, Ryan approached the Admiral with his concerns. "Admiral, should we try to contact the unknown fleet? Maybe they are peaceful," Ryan suggested. Admiral Sullivan shook her head. "No alien species travels in formation like that unless they are planning an attack. And the fact that they are not in our records means they have never made peaceful contact before." Back on the Valiant, Jake ordered his crew to follow the unknown fleet at a safe distance. Amy continued monitoring the sensor readings. The ships maintained their perfect formation hour after hour. They never changed speed, never broke formation, never sent any communications. Pete ran more tests on the ship's systems. Everything was working perfectly. The readings were accurate. The unknown fleet was real, and it was heading straight for human space. Lisa studied the tactical patterns. She had fought against many different alien species. Each one had their own style of flying and fighting. But these ships were different. Their formation was too perfect, too coordinated for any known species. It is like they are all controlled by one mind, Lisa said. No individual pilots could fly in such perfect formation for so long. Jake nodded. He had been thinking the same thing. The unknown ships moved like parts of a single machine, rather than separate vessels with separate crews. It was both impressive and terrifying. Amy detected more ships joining the fleet. They appeared from nowhere, just like the original group. The fleet was growing larger by the hour. Soon there would be over 500 ships, all moving in the same perfect formation. "Sir, more ships are appearing," Amy reported. "They seem to be coming from all directions, but I cannot detect where they come from originally." Jake made a decision. He ordered the Valiant to move closer to get better readings. It was dangerous, but they needed more information. The unknown fleet represented the biggest threat humanity had ever faced. As they got closer, the sensors picked up more details. The ships were enormous, much larger than anything humans had built. Their hulls were made of materials that did not appear in any database. The energy readings were off the charts. "These ships could destroy our entire defense fleet," Lisa said quietly. "We have never faced anything this powerful before." Jake knew she was right. But he also knew that humanity had faced impossible odds before and survived. They would find a way to fight these unknown enemies just like they always had. The Valiant continued following the mysterious fleet toward human space. Whatever was coming, humanity would be ready. The unknown fleet appeared at the edge of the Sol system 3 days later. Every alarm in the human defense network started ringing at once. General Alex Carter was in charge of Earth's protection, and he had never seen anything like this before. The alien ships were massive, each one bigger than humanity's largest battleship. Captain Danny Walsh commanded the UES Guardian, humanity's most advanced diplomatic vessel. His job was to make first contact with new alien species. Dr. Helen Brooks was with him, the best alien language expert humans had ever trained. Together, they were supposed to find out what the visitors wanted. Danny's ship approached the alien fleet slowly. The aliens did not attack, which was a good sign, but they also did not respond to any communication attempts. The human ships sent radio signals, light patterns, and mathematical sequences. The aliens ignored everything. "Keep trying," Danny told his communication officer. "There has to be a way to talk to them." Dr. Brooks worked at her station, trying every known form of alien communication. She had spent her whole career learning how to talk to different species. Some aliens used sounds, others used colors, and some even used smells. But these aliens were different from anything she had ever encountered. Suddenly, something changed. The aliens stopped ignoring the humans, but they did not use radio or light to communicate. Instead, they sent their message directly into the minds of everyone on the Guardian. The voice was cold and emotionless. It spoke inside their heads without using words. Danny and his crew could understand the message perfectly, but it terrified them. "We are the sovereign collective," the alien voice said. "Your species will join our collective consciousness. You will become part of us. You have 72 hours to surrender. If you refuse, we will destroy every human in the galaxy." "Doctor." Brooks tried to respond, but the aliens would not listen. They had made their demand, and that was the end of the conversation. The alien fleet moved closer to Earth, taking positions around the moon. Danny immediately sent a report to Earth. President Maria Gonzalez called an emergency meeting with the Global Defense Council. All the most important leaders gathered in the secure bunker beneath Geneva. General Carter showed them the military situation. It was bad. The alien ships had weapons that could destroy asteroids from incredible distances. Human ships were no match for their firepower. The aliens had also demonstrated that they could appear anywhere without warning. "We need more time to study their technology," said Dr. Sam Mitchell. He was the head of the Advanced Research Division and the smartest scientist on Earth. There might be a weakness we can find. President Gonzalez looked tired and worried. Can we evacuate the colonies? Not in 72 hours, General Carter replied. We have millions of people spread across dozens of worlds. Even if we started right now, we could not save them all. Dr. Brooks transmitted her analysis from The Guardian. The aliens had been studying human communications for weeks, maybe months. They knew about human technology, human languages, and human society. They had prepared for this invasion carefully. They call themselves a collective consciousness, Dr. Brooks explained in her report. That means they all think together as one mind. They have conquered 17 other star systems using the same method. They give each species the choice to join them or die. Commander Jake Harrison was still monitoring the aliens from his position in the Outer Rim. His ship, the Valiant, was far from Earth but close enough to observe the alien fleet. What he discovered gave humanity its first hope. Admiral Sullivan, Jake reported over the secure channel. I think I found something important. The alien ships are sending out a specific frequency that seems to interfere with their own sensors. When they use their telepathic communication, their targeting systems become less accurate for a few seconds. Admiral Sullivan studied Jake's data. It was not much, but it was something. Can we use this against them? Maybe, Jake replied. But it would require perfect timing and a lot of luck. Back on Earth, the leaders continued their emergency meeting. They had less than 70 hours to find a solution. The aliens had made it clear that they would not negotiate. Humanity would either surrender or face complete destruction. General Carter presented the military options. They could try to fight, but the aliens were too powerful. They could try to run, but there was nowhere to go. They could try to hide, but the aliens would find them eventually. What happened to the other species they conquered? President Gonzalez asked. Dr. Brooks had studied the alien communications carefully. They absorbed them into their collective. The individual minds stopped existing. Everyone became part of the alien hive mind. In a way, it is worse than death. The room fell silent. Nobody wanted to imagine losing their individual thoughts and becoming part of an alien collective. But the alternative was the destruction of the entire human race. Dr. Mitchell spoke up again. We are missing something important. The aliens said we are not in their records. That means we are different from the other species they conquered. Maybe that difference can help us. Captain Lisa Murphy was analyzing the alien fleet from the Valiant's position. She noticed something strange about their formation. The aliens were positioning their ships exactly like they had done in previous conquests. They were following the same pattern they had used 17 times before. They are treating us like all their previous enemies, Lisa reported. But we are not like those other species. We fight differently, we think differently, we organize differently. Admiral Sullivan began to see a possibility. What if their strength is also their weakness? They have conquered so many species by following the same plan every time. But what if we do something they have never seen before? The alien deadline was approaching fast. In 60 hours, they would attack if humanity did not surrender. But the humans were beginning to understand their enemy better. The Sovereign Collective was powerful and organized, but they were also predictable. Jake continued monitoring from the Outer Rim. He noticed that the alien ships had trouble tracking human vessels that moved in irregular patterns. Their targeting, computers seemed designed to predict logical, organized movements. Their database contains the tactics of 17 different species, Jake reported. But none of those species fought like we do. We might be able to surprise them. Dr. Brooks made another important discovery. The aliens were getting frustrated with human communications. They kept trying to find the central human leader, the one person who could surrender for the entire species. But humans did not work that way. They cannot understand our government system, Dr. Brooks explained. They expect us to have one supreme leader like they do. But we have presidents, generals, admirals, and governors all making decisions independently. This gave the human leaders an idea. Maybe their decentralized command structure was actually an advantage. The aliens had never fought an enemy that could coordinate without a central controlling authority. President Gonzalez made the decision. We will not surrender, but we will not fight them the way they expect. We will use our differences as weapons. The countdown to the alien deadline continued. Humanity prepared for the most important battle in their history. Admiral Kate Sullivan gathered all her top commanders in the war room beneath Geneva. The holographic display showed the Sovereign Collective's fleet surrounding Earth's moon like a deadly necklace. The alien ships were preparing for what looked like a complete planetary siege. Humanity had less than 24 hours before the aliens would attack. Dr. Sam Mitchell had been working around the clock, studying every piece of data about the aliens. He made an important discovery that changed everything. The reason the aliens were not in human records was not because they were secretive. It was because they had never met a species like humanity before. Every civilization they conquered was either too primitive to fight back or followed predictable military patterns. Dr. Mitchell explained to the assembled commanders. They have a database of tactics from 17 different species, but none of those species fought like we do. Captain Lisa Murphy was now leading the tactical analysis team. She had been studying the aliens' previous conquests, and she found something interesting. Every victory had followed exactly the same pattern. The aliens would appear with overwhelming force, target the enemy's central command, and demand surrender. When the enemy leaders gave up, the entire civilization would collapse. They always go after the capital ships first, Lisa explained. They destroy the command structure and expect everyone else to surrender automatically. But our military does not work that way. General Alex Carter was coordinating with fleet commanders throughout the solar system. Captain Danny Walsh reported from the front lines near Mars that the aliens seemed confused by human tactics. They kept targeting what they thought were command ships, but when they destroyed one, 3 more would take its place. Every time we lose a ship, the remaining vessels reorganize themselves, Danny explained during a brief communication. The aliens cannot figure out who is really in charge because we all are. The Sovereign Collective's confidence was beginning to crack. Their hive mind had never encountered such a problem before. In their previous conquests, destroying the enemy leadership always led to immediate victory. But humans just kept fighting, no matter how many ships they lost. Colonel Ryan Bell was monitoring alien communications from the secret listening post on the far side of the moon. The equipment there could intercept the aliens' telepathic messages. What he heard made him realize that humanity had found their enemy's weakness. They keep saying the same thing over and over, Ryan reported to Admiral Sullivan. The phrase keeps appearing in their communications, not in our records. They are starting to panic because we are not behaving like their database says we should. Dr. Helen Brooks was working with a team of experts to decode the alien language. The telepathic messages were becoming more frantic by the hour. The aliens were asking each other questions they had never needed to ask before. They want to know why humans keep fighting without central coordination, Dr. Brooks translated. Their collective mind cannot understand how we make decisions independently, but still work together. The breakthrough came when Commander Jake Harrison reported from his position in the Outer Rim. His ship was still following irregular patrol patterns, and the aliens could not predict where he would go next. Their targeting computers were designed for logical, predictable movements. Every time I change course randomly, their weapons lose track of me, Jake reported. It is like their computers cannot handle true chaos. Admiral Sullivan realized that humanity's greatest weakness might actually be their greatest strength. Humans were disorganized, unpredictable, and individualistic. These traits had always made them difficult to govern, but they also made them impossible for the aliens to understand. General Carter implemented a new strategy across the entire defense fleet. Instead of following military doctrine, human ships began moving in random patterns. They would attack, retreat, regroup, and attack again from completely different angles. The aliens' superior firepower became useless when they could not predict their targets. The Sovereign Collective's perfect formation began to break apart. Individual alien ships started making mistakes as their collective mind struggled to process human unpredictability. Their database had no reference for enemies who fought without following logical patterns. Captain Danny Walsh led a squadron of fighters in a maneuver that broke every rule in the military handbook. He appeared to retreat in panic, drawing the alien ships forward. Then, just when the aliens thought they had won, Danny's ships turned around and attacked from behind. The aliens had never seen such an illogical tactic before. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez was still serving on Commander Harrison's ship. She noticed that alien ships had the most trouble tracking human vessels that changed course for no apparent reason. "It is like their computers expect us to have a logical plan," she reported. "When we act randomly, they cannot keep up." The aliens started making desperate attempts to find humanity's central command. They attacked Earth's capital cities, but the human government kept functioning. They destroyed military bases, but new commanders took over immediately. They targeted communication centers, but humans found other ways to coordinate. Dr. Mitchell made another important discovery. The aliens' technology relied on predicting enemy behavior through complex mathematical models. But mathematics could not predict human creativity and intuition. When humans acted on instinct rather than logic, the alien computers failed completely. Captain Lisa Murphy led a strike team that used ancient naval tactics against the aliens. She divided her ships into small groups that attacked from multiple directions at once. When the aliens focused on one group, the others would attack their flanks. It was a strategy thousands of years old, but it was not in the aliens' database. The sovereign collective's communications became increasingly frantic. Dr. Brooks intercepted a message that revealed their growing desperation. The aliens were calling humans the chaos species because their collective mind could not process human individuality. "They are starting to doubt their own tactical database," Dr. Brooks reported. "For the first time in their history, they are facing an enemy they cannot predict or understand." Admiral Sullivan watched the battle unfold from the command center. The tide was turning in humanity's favor. The aliens' perfect coordination was falling apart because they could not adapt to human chaos. Their greatest strength had become their greatest weakness. General Carter received reports from all over the solar system. Human ships were winning small battles by using tactics the aliens had never encountered. Ramming attacks, false retreats, sacrificial maneuvers, and coordinated chaos were overwhelming the alien fleet's ability to respond effectively. The aliens' deadline had passed, but they were no longer in control of the situation. Their invasion plan was falling apart because it was based on fighting logical, predictable enemies. Humans were neither logical nor predictable, and that was saving the human race. Commander Harrison prepared for the final phase of the battle. He had received orders to implement a strategy so chaotic and unpredictable that even humans did not fully understand it. It would either win the war or destroy everything they had worked for. President Maria Gonzalez stood in the emergency command center, surrounded by screens showing the battle raging across the solar system. She had just authorized Operation Wildcard, the most desperate strategy humanity had ever attempted. The plan was developed by a team of military experts and civilian game theorists working together around the clock. The idea was simple but dangerous. Humanity would use their greatest strength against the aliens, the ability to be completely unpredictable while still working toward the same goal. Every human ship would act independently, but they would all focus on destroying the alien fleet. Captain Ben Foster commanded the UES Liberty, leading a squadron of fighters in the first phase of the counterattack. Instead of fighting like a traditional space fleet, the human ships began using tactics that made no sense to the sovereign collective. Some ships attacked head-on, while others retreated. Some fought in formation while others flew alone. The aliens could not understand what the humans were trying to do. Dr. Sam Mitchell's research team had been working with Chief Scientist Dr. Grace Kelly to understand how the alien technology worked. They discovered that the Sovereign Collective's weapons and shields were controlled by incredibly advanced computers. These computers could predict almost any logical attack pattern and respond perfectly. But human attacks were not logical. Dr. Mitchell realized that the aliens' technology was actually designed to fight against rational, organized enemies. When faced with true chaos, their systems began to malfunction. "Their computers are trying to find patterns in our attacks," Dr. Mitchell explained to the command staff. But we are not following any patterns. We are just fighting however we want to fight. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez was still serving aboard Commander Jake Harrison's ship, the Valiant. She noticed something important while monitoring the battle. The alien ships that tried to predict human movements were the ones getting destroyed first. The alien ships that simply reacted to immediate threats lasted longer. The aliens who think too much are the ones who die, Amy reported, but the ones who just shoot at whatever is closest to them are harder to beat. Commander Harrison understood what this meant. The Sovereign Collective's greatest advantage was their ability to think together as one mind and plan complex strategies. But this advantage became a disadvantage when fighting humans, because humans did not follow complex strategies. General Alex Carter was watching the battle from Earth's command center. He could see that the alien formation was breaking down completely. Ships that had moved in perfect coordination for days were now scattered across space, each one trying to deal with multiple human attacks coming from unpredictable directions. Captain Lisa Murphy led a strike team using a tactic she had learned from studying ancient Earth naval battles. She divided her ships into 3 groups and attacked the same alien vessel from different angles at the same time. But instead of coordinating the attack timing, she told each group to attack whenever they felt like it. The result was chaos. But it worked. The alien ship could not defend against 3 separate attacks that had no connection to each other. When the first group attacked, the alien ship turned its shields and weapons toward them. Then the second group attacked from a completely different direction while the alien was distracted. Before the alien could respond to the second attack, the third group destroyed it completely. Dr. Helen Brooks was monitoring alien communications from her station on the Guardian. The telepathic messages she intercepted revealed that the Sovereign Collective was experiencing something they had never felt before: confusion. Their hive mind was designed to process information logically and make perfect decisions. But human behavior was not logical, and this was breaking their thought processes. They keep asking each other why humans fight the way they do, Dr. Brooks translated. They cannot understand how we coordinate without central planning. They think there must be some secret strategy they are missing. But there was no secret strategy. Humans were simply fighting the way humans always fought, with individual creativity, personal courage, and the willingness to try crazy ideas that might work. Captain Danny Walsh was leading his squadron near Jupiter when he decided to try something completely insane. He ordered his ships to fly directly toward an alien battleship at maximum speed, as if they were planning a suicide attack. The alien ship focused all its weapons on Danny's squadron, preparing to destroy them. At the last second, Danny's ship split apart and flew around the alien battleship instead of ramming it. While the alien weapons were pointing the wrong way, another human squadron attacked from the opposite direction and destroyed the confused alien ship. That should not have worked, Danny said to his crew after the battle. But it did work because the aliens expected us to either retreat or die. They never expected us to fake a suicide attack. Admiral Kate Sullivan was coordinating the overall battle strategy, but she was not really giving orders in the traditional sense. Instead, she was simply telling human commanders to do whatever you think will work, and try to destroy as many alien ships as possible. This kind of loose command structure would have been a disaster against human enemies, but it was perfect for fighting the aliens. The Sovereign Collective had spent centuries developing tactics for fighting organized enemies. They knew how to counter every logical strategy, how to predict every rational move, and how to defeat every coordinated attack. But they had no defense against pure human chaos. Dr. Grace Kelly made a breakthrough discovery about the alien technology. The computers controlling their ships were so advanced that they could process thousands of possible battle scenarios every second. But this incredible processing power became a weakness when humans did things that made no logical sense. Their computers are spending too much energy trying to understand what we are doing, Dr. Kelly explained. While they are analyzing our strategy, we are already attacking them from somewhere else. Lieutenant Nick Thompson was managing communications for the human fleet. His job was supposed to be coordinating attacks between different ships. But he discovered that the most successful attacks were the ones that were not coordinated at all. When human ships acted independently, they were much more effective. Chief Engineer Pete Johnson reported from his position in the engine room that human ships were performing better than ever before. Without the need to maintain formation or follow complex battle plans, the ships could use their full speed and maneuverability. Human pilots were free to fly the way they wanted to fly, and it was devastating the alien fleet. The battle was turning into a complete disaster for the Sovereign Collective. Their perfect ships, perfect weapons, and perfect tactics were useless against enemies who refused to fight in a predictable way. For the first time in their history, the aliens were losing a war. Commander Harrison received new orders from Admiral Sullivan. The final phase of Operation Wildcard was about to begin, and it would require every human ship to do something that no military force in galactic history had ever attempted. The final battle began when Commander Jake Harrison received the order that would change galactic history forever. Admiral Kate Sullivan had authorized Phase 2 of Operation Wildcard. Every human ship in the solar system would simultaneously execute completely different tactical maneuvers. No coordination, no planning, no communication between ships. Pure chaos on a scale that had never been attempted before. Captain Danny Walsh was the first to understand what this meant. He was commanding his squadron near Mars when the order came through. Instead of trying to coordinate with other human ships, he was supposed to ignore them completely and fight as if he was alone against the entire alien fleet. "You heard the order," Danny told his crew. "We fight our own war now. Every ship for itself, but remember, we are all fighting for the same thing." Lieutenant Nick Thompson was managing communications across the human fleet, but his new job was to stop managing communications. He shut down the coordination networks that had connected human ships for decades. For the first time in military history, an entire fleet was about to fight without any central command. The alien fleet was positioned around Earth's moon in their perfect defensive formation. The Sovereign Collective had reorganized their ships according to their battle database, preparing to counter what they thought would be humanity's final coordinated assault. They were completely wrong. As the human ships began their attack, something unprecedented happened. Instead of one organized battle, thousands of individual battles broke out across space. Every human ship attacked different targets using different tactics at different times. The result was absolute chaos, and it was exactly what humanity needed. Captain Lisa Murphy led her cruiser in a spiraling attack pattern that made no tactical sense. She was attacking an alien battleship by flying in circles around it, firing randomly, and changing direction every few seconds. The alien ship's targeting computers could not track her movements because there was no pattern to track. Dr. Sam Mitchell was monitoring the battle from Earth's command center. The readings on his instruments were incredible. The alien ships were firing their weapons at empty space, their targeting systems completely overwhelmed by the unpredictability of human movements. What had been their greatest strength was now their fatal weakness. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez reported from the Valiant that alien ships were actually firing on each other by mistake. Their coordination systems were breaking down because they could not process the chaos of the human attack. Ships that had moved together perfectly for days were now colliding with each other. Captain Ben Foster commanded his fighter squadron in what could only be described as organized madness. His ships were attacking alien vessels from every possible angle, but no two ships were using the same approach. Some were diving from above, others attacking from below, and still others were flying straight at their targets before veering away at the last second. The Sovereign Collective's flagship was a massive vessel containing the primary consciousness nodes of their hive mind. It found itself surrounded by human ships that were moving in patterns that defied all understanding. The aliens' most powerful weapons could not target enemies that changed direction randomly every few seconds. General Alex Carter watched the battle from Earth's command center with amazement and terror. What the humans were doing violated every principle of military strategy ever developed. It should have been a disaster. Instead, it was the most effective attack in the history of space warfare. Dr. Grace Kelly had predicted this outcome based on her analysis of alien technology. The Sovereign Collective's computers were designed to find patterns and exploit weaknesses. But when there were no patterns to find, the computers began to malfunction. The aliens' technological superiority became meaningless. Commander Harrison was leading a group of ships in an attack that could only be called beautiful chaos. His vessels were dancing around alien battleships like leaves in the wind, unpredictable and impossible to catch. Every few seconds, one of his ships would destroy an alien vessel that had been confused by the random movements. Dr. Helen Brooks intercepted the final communications from the Sovereign Collective's flagship. The alien hive mind was sending out desperate messages that revealed their complete bewilderment. The aliens could not understand how humans could coordinate such an effective attack without any central command. This species exhibits no logical patterns, the aliens transmitted. They are not in our records. How do they coordinate without central control? How do they fight without strategy? This is impossible according to all known military science. Commander Harrison positioned his ship near the alien flagship and opened a communication channel. His response would be remembered for centuries, as the moment humanity announced itself to the galaxy as a force that could not be conquered. "We do not need to be in your records," Harrison transmitted to the alien fleet. "We write our own." The alien flagship tried to escape, but it was surrounded by human ships moving in patterns that its computers could not predict. Captain Foster's fighters attacked from angles that changed every second. Captain Murphy's cruisers provided covering fire from positions that moved constantly. Captain Walsh's squadron coordinated their attack by not coordinating at all. In the final moments of the battle, the alien collective transmitted one last message of complete defeat. "We cannot fight enemies who have no strategy. We cannot defeat chaos. We cannot understand how they think." The massive alien flagship exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from Earth. The remaining alien ships tried to retreat, but they found themselves pursued by human vessels whose movements they could not predict or counter. One by one, the ships of the Sovereign Collective were destroyed by enemies they could not understand. Admiral Sullivan stood on the bridge of her command ship, watching the wreckage of the most powerful fleet in galactic history drift among the stars. The Sovereign Collective had been defeated not by superior technology or greater numbers, but by something they could never have prepared for. The human spirit. President Maria Gonzalez addressed the world from the United Nations headquarters in Geneva. Her speech was broadcast to every human colony across the galaxy. "Today, humanity proved that our greatest strength is not our weapons or our ships. Our greatest strength is our ability to think as individuals while fighting as one people." Dr. Mitchell's final report to the Global Defense Council was simple and profound. "The enemy studied our technology, our communications, and our history. But they never understood what makes us human. They tried to fit us into their database of conquered species, but we refused to fit. That was their fatal error." As the human fleet regrouped around Earth, Captain Walsh transmitted the message that would echo throughout the galaxy for generations. "Let this be a warning to any species that threatens humanity. We may not be the strongest or the most advanced, but we are the most unpredictable, and that makes us unconquerable." The Sovereign Collective's perfect records had contained detailed information about 17 different species they had conquered. But they had no entry for a species that could turn chaos into strategy, individuality into strength, and unpredictability into the ultimate weapon of war. In the months that followed, Dr. Brooks led efforts to contact the surviving colonies of species that had been conquered by the Sovereign Collective. Many had hidden in remote systems, waiting for the day their oppressors would fall. They emerged from hiding to find that the impossible had happened. The Sovereign Collective had been defeated by a species that fought without logic, planned without coordination, and won through sheer human stubbornness. Commander Harrison was promoted to admiral and given command of the new Outer Rim Defense Force. His mission was to ensure that no other species would ever again face the choice between absorption into a collective consciousness or complete annihilation. The victory became legend throughout the galaxy, not as a story of military might or technological superiority, but as proof that diversity, creativity, and the refusal to be controlled could overcome any force. No matter how organized or advanced, humanity had faced the ultimate test and proven that sometimes the greatest strength comes not from following the rules, but from refusing to follow any rules at all.